Aloha everyone, this is Dr. Richard Jones. I'm your new instructor, professor for the Oceans 201 online class. I want to give you a brief overview of the various parts of the course, just so that you kind of have an idea. We are in week 3, we'll be starting week 4 fairly soon. I just want to take a look at the various pieces that you have. There have been some questions about what you need to do. So first off, there's your home page right here, and there'll be announcements. There are actually several announcements now. There'll be some resources that I'll be posting. Right now, you have this assignments, tests, and surveys link, and it takes a minute for it to come up. And in that, you actually have some. You've had chapters 1, chapter 2 was due last week, and chapter 3 is due on the 14th, so which is on Wednesday. And then, of course, then the next chapter is due, chapter 4 will be the week after. So chapter 4 begins this week on Wednesday. Let's take a look at some of the areas that have been kind of a question for people. So you'll understand that it says right here, it says chapter progress questions. These are in bubble format, but where the question is, where do you find them? Well, you can actually find the questions here on the portal. Down here it says textbook chapter progress questions, and we can click on chapter 2. And here's the same questions that you find over here in La Lima. They're easy to access. What are they based on? These are based on the text, the e-learning text. So if you go over to your Ocean Studies textbook, that's right here, and you take a look at chapter 1, and you read chapter 1. These are not the questions at the back of the chapter. These are the questions that go along with the chapter as you read the chapter. So it talks about what it is, the hydrosphere. There's images to look at. There's the image of glaciers, so on and so forth. This is, of course, chapter 1. I should probably just go back to chapter 2 because that's what we're talking about. So here's chapter 2. There's a nice picture from Kilauea. This is talking about distribution of world oceans. It's talking about underwater volcanoes and so on and so forth, rock cycle. So here's a good question. Most of the rocks comprising the Earth's crust are igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. That's number 3. As you read over here, you're going to find that it's talking about the rock cycle. It's going to talk about the types of rocks. And this image right here talks about the type sedimentary, igneous, metamorphic. And you're going to find that the majority of the rocks are igneous. Continental shelf's widest, where the continental margin is blank, such as along North America's east coast. They're talking about tectonically active or tectonically passive. Just as sort of an FYI, when you look at the continental plate, which is this margin right here in sort of peach, you can see that this is a passive margin and this is a passive margin, but over here where the subduction zone is, Peru-Chile plate, that's very, very little continental margin, and so that's an active. So number 5 would be passive if we were paying attention to that. Okay. So this is the progress. Now you'll notice that you also have an assignment that is for the investigations, and so we have, if you go over to your La Lima, you're going to see, let me see if I put this in students format. So what you see is if we go into chapter 2, you'll notice investigation A and investigation B. Investigation A is associated with investigation 2A, seeing the bottom of the ocean. The questions that are on this assignment right here survey the ocean relief, blah, blah, blah. If you look in here, excuse me, here's the question right here in the reading. So these are the same questions that you find right here. This was set up by your former instructor to make it easier to grade, which actually I think is a pretty good idea. For myself, I might have to do that. So you have Chapter 2 Investigation A, Chapter 2 Investigation B, and so these are the investigations. They're in the investigation manual. Here's B, ocean bottom bathymetry. This is going to talk about active and passive margins. Here's an example. Here's South America. Here's the margin on the west side of South America. Here's the margin on the east side. This is a passive margin. This is an active margin. And they're expecting you to look at the relief of this. And so that's exactly what you see. So you can see that it drops down to roughly 7,500 meters, very close to the shore. So that's going to be something that it's going to be asking you about. So you should have these two books. One is the text and the other is the investigation manual. The text has chapter progress. The investigation manual has investigations A and B. I'll go ahead and close that. There are two different ways to access that material. One is through an e-reader if you buy that version, or you can get it as a web version. You'll notice also that there's current ocean studies that I refer to them as COS. The current ocean studies are right here on the real-time portal. And so when you click on ocean studies, current ocean studies right here, these are the actual questions that will be associated with it. This is on plate boundaries apparently. The Mercator type conformal map on which distortion blank as latitude increases. The distortion increases towards the North Pole and towards the South Pole, so it increases as latitude increases. These questions will also be found over in this area. So if I click on this and go to begin, you'll see a Mercator type conformal map in which distortion blank at latitude, it should say as latitude increases, so it's B. I apologize for some of the spelling issues and some of the word issues on this. I won't be probably looking too much at Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 simply because those have already been done, but I will be looking more closely at 3 through 15. I want to make sure that in fact you're actually getting the current weather study or current ocean studies class, because some of the information that I've seen in your La Lima site suggests to me that the CWSs were used from last year, which you go up to the archives, you can click on spring 2016, and that's where that might be where some of these are coming from. These are the current ocean studies for each of those. And so it's a possibility that the professor used the old materials rather than the current materials. And so Chapter 4 is now available. Chapter 5 will probably be available on Monday. I imagine that Chapter 2 will go away rapidly. There's usually only 3 chapters that are available. So, to go through this really quickly again, the textbook chapter progress questions accessible for the questions are accessible off of the real-time portal. They come from the e-textbook. The investigation manual questions, they are provided in the investigation manual on La Lima under investigation A and B, and we'll be using the e-investigation manual, which you purchased. And then the current ocean studies questions, and there's the answer form, which is really nice. So this is the same form, essentially, that you would have for Chapter 3. Let's just see what Chapter 3 looks like. So Chapter 3, current ocean studies. I'm going to take a look at it really quick. So yes, it looks very similar. So we've just put the answer forms on your Laulima site for you. If you have images that you need to use with this, they'll be included, and there's also answer forms. So the real-time portal provides you with answer sheets. You also have answer sheets posted to Laulima, and you will do your chapter progress from the e-text, investigation manuals from the e-investigation manual, and the current ocean studies from the real-time portal, which you should have received an access code, actually a user ID and a password to, with your rental or purchase. So I will help you as best I can. This is just a quick video to try to help you find some of the parts on this course, and I look forward to working with you throughout the semester. Just an FYI, my office hours are 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock virtually on Monday, and face-to-face from 12 o'clock until 1 o'clock Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday if I'm in town. Thank you very much. Looking forward to working with you.